Thank you very much, Karen. And I think we're fast approaching the day where the administration speech will be longer than any other speech we all hear in the day. I'm already confused about which stairs to use on the way out, so forgive me as I leave if I break the rules. I'm also conscious as Secretary of Defence today that my comments are really here to provoke thought rather than to necessarily be the major speech. I think General Patrick Saunders's speech after me will really set the tone of the day, and I thought therefore I would just say a short, brief message really on the theme of the day, and which is of course integration. It's all about integration today, I noticed in the themes, and there's always a tendency to treat integration as the holy grail, and there are indeed champions of it who pursue integration for integration's sake with a sort of purity that leads us into being exclusive rather than inclusive. And to do so would ignore the threat that we see today and the strengths that we in the West hold. Let's start with what strengths we have and what Russia doesn't have, for example, and others. We have alliances. So integration must, in my view, be first and foremost about policy integration, campaigning integration, the culture of burden share and playing to our strengths. An integrated response is what is demanded by today's threat. Multi-domain, broad action, intergovernment, international relationships, sub-threshold and above threshold. And next, it must also mean interoperability, but not to the extent that we become over-dependent on one ally or another. And there are, I'm afraid, too many examples of that. The future of foreign policy and defence is, in my opinion, going to be bilaterals, trilaterals, and small groups of countries with common cause. Of course, with one major exception, that being the tried and tested alliance of NATO. So we have to be more generic, less exquisite. And lastly, and only lastly, when it comes to integration, we need to find a way for our own forces to be more technically integrated so we can dominate the kill chain, ISR process, and exploitation of exploitative actions on the battlefield, while at the same time allowing a range of partners to operate alongside. Easier said than done. But they must not do so at the expense of being deaf to those allies and their capabilities. The challenge of achieving all three levels of this type of integration with cybersecurity demands and multiple alliances is not going to be an easy one. In fact, it will be harder if policy leads, equipment programmers, and military leaders don't speak to each other, which is why at the command paper's heart is the threat. If the start point is we coalesce around a common threat picture, we will begin to drive that integration much better. It will become our demand signal that shapes our generators and partnerships. And while much of the media's focus on our paper was on the usual tired numbers game, many failed to notice the significant uplift and focus on defense diplomacy, which is why strategic command is so important. And what it does in the next few years will set us up to deliver global Britain. Better integration, a leader of culture, and a leader of fast decision-making. What I expect to see from StratCom is also a step change in joint force development across defence, both in the leaders and the culture, in its dynamic decision-making process, its response to the demand and the threat, and indeed influencing the equipment program to make sure that we have a better portfolio management of our requirements. So I look forward to hearing from Patrick's speech, how he's going to set about that. I look forward to seeing over the next few months how the command paper will be implemented by StratCom. Because strategic command has a really key, important place in this process. I visited it only the other week, and it was last week or the week before. Time moves fairly fast these days. But what is key in that was everyone in that building worked on the process of an integrated, purple, joint interest of defence. They work together, no matter what service they come from. And I'm afraid we still see in some of our other services the single service view of the world. Well, in today's threat, global competition, we can't afford to have that anymore. We have to burden share. We have to work with our partners. We have to find a way to weave in that integration. And it starts with the mindset and the policy leaders rather than technology. Thank you.